There was a recent interview with Elon Musk where he said something, "My mind is a storm. I don't think most people would want to be me.
Right, right.
They may think they would want to be me, but they don't. They don't know. They don't understand."
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? Elon's someone that people probably look up to and admire and aspire to be.
One of the downsides to high-level genius is you might describe it as hypomania. So here's a simple test that people can do. So this is a test of something called verbal fluency, and verbal fluency is associated with creativity. And so here's a simple verbal fluency test. Write down as many 4-letter words as you can in 3 minutes that begin with T. Okay, that's pretty constrained, 4 letters and T. Or write down as many words as you can in 3 minutes that begin with S. That's less constrained. All right, so there's quite a powerful correlation between the sheer number of words that you produce and your lifetime creative achievement, right? Especially in the artistic and verbal domains. That's different than vocabulary. Vocabulary is how many words you understand. Fluency is how many words you can produce in a given amount of time.
Deployment of those words. Yeah.
Well, people vary to a degree that you can hardly imagine. So some people, if you get them to do the 4-letter test in 3 minutes, they'll write down like 12 words. And some will write down 150. And the ones who are writing down 150, their minds are going at a hypomanic rate. They're just thinking 5 times as fast as...
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, without any remission whatsoever. And when that gets completely out of control, you have manic. You have someone who's manic. And there's nothing fun about manic. That's where the word maniac comes from. And someone who's manic has 1,000 different plans, each of which are 1 sentence long, that they're hyper enthusiastic about. They'll spend every cent of their money pursuing them, and things just go immediately to hell. And so that's the outer limit of pathology on the creative front. And someone like Musk, who's clearly a genius, that's what he's contending with in his internal landscape. Now, I'm not saying that he's manic because I see no signs of that, but someone that creative is on that edge. Or you see someone like Ben Shapiro. I mean, it's very interesting to talk to Ben because, and Russell Brand is the same way. Shapiro speaks, I think, more rapidly than anyone I ever met. But if you're with him, you see very clearly that he's probably thinking 5 times that fast. And that's a lot. And when I was writing Maps of Meaning, which was my first book, I had a very difficult time shutting off my mind. I was obsessed with that book. And so I was writing about 3 hours a day. And then I was thinking about the material like for 12 hours. And the thoughts came as way faster than thinking. They probably came about as fast as I can read. I can read about 1,200 words a minute if the material isn't overwhelmingly dense. And so it was just nonstop thought for like 16 hours a day. That's part of the reason I started lifting weights, because if I was lifting heavy enough weights,
can't be thinking at 1,200 words a minute while I've got 100 pounds on my back.
It was It was enough to shut it down.
Yeah.
And it was also one of the reasons that I drank, because that was another thing that would shut it off.
Yeah. Well, I think the price that people pay to be the person that you admire is just such an interesting frame. To look at someone like Elon Musk. My mind is a storm. I don't think most people would want to be me. The price that you would have to pay in order to be me is not one that you would. But you're one of the richest men on the planet, and you get to, dance on stage and release cars that are bulletproof and put rockets in space and stuff. Well, yeah, but what about all of the baggage? What's the price? What's the entry price?
He also appears to me to be hyper conscientious, and I know people who've worked with him. Like, Musk isn't just a creative genius. He's also an extremely conscientious engineer, and really conscientious engineers, they have very interesting minds. I like talking to engineers because my brother-in-law is a great engineer. And when he understands something, Jim, when he understands something, he understands how to build it out of atoms, right? Like, he understands it at every single level. And Musk appears to me to be someone who's this rare combination of hyper creative, but also hyper conscientious. And I know that he works all the time.
Yeah. Does that sort of hypertrophied executive function help to wrangle some of the diffuse creative energy? Oh, we're going to put it into this one thing, at least for a while, and then we'll move on to another thing.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Eric Weinstein's a good example of someone. I hope Eric isn't annoyed by this, but Eric is unbelievably creative, but he's not particularly conscientious. And so and I think he found an occupation where that works extremely well, because I don't know if he's still doing this, but he worked with Peter Thiel for quite a long time as his idea man, right? And Eric's an extremely interesting person. Musk is hyper creative, and as far as I can tell, hyper conscientious. And the conscientiousness does focus. And that lots of people who are creative aren't conscientious. Well, it's rare. Like if you're there's no correlation between creativity and conscientiousness. Okay, so if you're 1 in 1,000, if you're the most creative person in 1,000, and you're the most conscientious person in 1,000, you're one person in 1,000,000. And Musk is probably more like one person in 100 million. Right? Something like that, maybe more, or maybe 1 billion, right? Maybe.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. If you are a gentleman who is still using an old face shaver from 3 Christmases ago to trim your gentleman's area, what are you doing? Join us here in the modern world. There are purpose-built tools for the job, and the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is the tool that you need. It's got a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, a 90-minute battery so that you can take a longer shave, waterproof technology so that you can groom in the shower, and an LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trim, or if you just want to do it in the dark like a ninja would. Going into the holiday season, you might want to get the man in your life a gift, or hint at him that he's a tiny bit more hairy than you would like, and the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is the perfect blending of these two worlds. Since we're on YouTube, I can't show you how this actually works, but what I can show you is that transformation right there. That's you, gentlemen. Unwrap the gift of smoothness this season by going to the link in the description below, or heading to manscaped.com/wisdom using the code WISDOM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. That's manscaped.com/wisdom and wisdom at checkout. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip with Jordan, you will love the over 3-hour-long podcast episode, which is available right here. Go on. Give it a tap.